Sunny National Football League quarterback list that has Matthew Stafford in its top 10 entering the National Football League season should be completely delegitimized. I am just saying, North America, there are way too many other mediocre quarterbacks that should be listed ahead of Matthew Stafford. Today on The Disturbance, I'm going to give you my top 10 National Football League quarterbacks entering the 2023 season. And of course, we will cover a wide variety of different angles. Now, let's just get the elephant out of the way, which is to say that, of course, the top 5 should be pretty easy to actually list out for you. And that, of course, is Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert. Now, I know some of the lists out there will have Jalen Hurts ahead of Josh Allen. Some will have Josh Allen ahead of Joe Burrow. We know that Joe Burrow now has a calf injury. So assuming everything is okay with Joe Burrow, I'm not so worried about the Cincinnati Bengals, because if you look at what happened with the Bengals last season, they were 2-3 entering the 6th week of the National Football League season. Joe Burrow could easily get off to a slow start and then progress through the season. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. So once again, I've got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert. And I'm open to people moving some of those quarterbacks around, except for, of course, Patrick Mahomes, who's clearly the best quarterback in the National Football League entering the 2023 season. Now, some lists out there actually will swap Justin Herbert with Lamar Jackson. I think we have to see what happens with Lamar Jackson this particular season. It's going to be a new offense, and we've all heard this so many times when it comes to quarterbacks that like to run, that they are going to attempt to not run Lamar Jackson as much as they have in the past. I totally get that. When push comes to shove, though, and the Baltimore Ravens need Lamar Jackson to run, you can bet that some of the plays that were in the playbook last year and the year before will be back. Remember, new offensive scheme for the Baltimore Ravens this year. We'll have to see how that all pans out. As for Justin Herbert, the knock, if you can have a knock on Justin Herbert, is really that the team really hasn't won anything yet. We saw what happened in the playoffs this past season. We know that one of the up-and-coming quarterbacks who will probably break into the top 5 of these types of lists in the 2024 season is Trevor Lawrence. I have him at number 7. I've got Aaron Rodgers in at number 8, and this is to say that while I think Aaron's, best parts of his career are behind him, and while I don't think Aaron is going to do what Tom Brady did in his first year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I do think that Aaron Rodgers is saying and doing all the right things in the New York Football Jets. He has clearly taken over that New York Football Jets organization in a way that I thought Aaron Rodgers wouldn't. That leads me to believe that we might actually see the old Aaron Rodgers appear for a good portion of the upcoming season. He absolutely deserves to be in everybody's top 10 list this particular year. We'll see what happens going forward, because you have to remember, when was the last time you saw Aaron Rodgers actually throw for over 300 yards in a game? It has been a very, very long time, my friends. All right. So we're going to get into the last 2 in just a sec. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the house, or if you haven't subscribed to the disturbance, please go ahead and subscribe and, of course, like this video. All right. So when we talk about the last two spots in the top 10 list that I'm putting out this particular season, it is easy to look at a wide variety of different players. I mean, if you go take a look at what the NFL put out, which is called the NFL QB Index, and it ranks all 32 teams and their regular season performances at quarterback last season, you end up with something that's very interesting. You've got a lot of players on that list like Tua. You've got Jared Goff on that list, who enters the top 10 rankings in this particular list, as does Geno Smith, who comes in at number 9. There's, of course, the Brock Purdy effect. There is the things that Justin Fields did in the second half of the season that caused Mike Greenberg to put out a video earlier today where he said that he believes Justin Fields is going to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. He subtracts the first 6 weeks of the season and just looks at what he did during the backside of the season, and then talks about the fact that he's got new weapons as well. Look, I think this is the year that we have to see Justin Fields take that next step forward. I think he's got a lot of talent to do it. Will he do it? Will the Chicago Bears hold up enough for that to happen? I don't know. My point is, I mean, I haven't even brought up Brock Purdy. And I'm not going to bring up Kyler Murray or Trey Lance. But, I mean, Brock Purdy, it looked fantastic in the games that he did play for the San Francisco 49ers last year. You could easily see a guy like that ending up in somebody's top 10 list. Then, of course, there's Daniel Jones, who has no business being in the top 10 list, or Kenny Pickett at this point, or Derek Carr, or Andy Dalton. Interestingly enough, the National Football League, in their particular ranking list, has Matthew Stafford in at number 23, just ahead of one Sam Darnold. I rest my case when it comes to putting Matthew Stafford in a top 10 list entering this particular season. Then there's Mac Jones, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Taylor Heineke, Matt Ryan, who's out of football, and Zach Wilson. Look, it's going to be a very interesting year in the National Football League for quarterbacks. There will be surprises, as there are every year. Who thought Geno Smith was going to resurrect his career with the Seattle Seahawks entering last season? And the answer is, outside of Pete Carroll, no one. When I think about who my last two spots should go to, I think of players that have been in the proverbial hot seat for quite some time and have done well enough to, at the very least, get their teams into the playoffs fairly consistently throughout their careers, which is why I have Dak Prescott in at number 9. Now, sure, Jared Goff had a significantly better season than Dak Prescott did last year. So did Geno Smith. But there is something about Dak Prescott that I absolutely love to watch. It's not just about the stats with Dak Prescott. Quite frankly, Dak Prescott's one of those guys that more times than not, I would consider to be a winner in the National Football League. In at number 10, and I'm not just doing this because I'm a Minnesota Viking homer and I'm halfway through the Netflix quarterback series and just watching Kirk Cousins do what Kirk Cousins does. I don't think that Kirk Cousins gets enough respect around the National Football League. Sure, they lost a playoff game to Daniel Jones at home. I understand that, but they were in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins absolutely put that Minnesota Viking football team on his shoulders last season. And without Kirk Cousins' performance for the Vikings last season, they wouldn't have been anywhere near making the playoffs. Look, The Vikings at some point will have to make that decision to move on from Kirk Cousins, and they better have somebody who's equally as good as Kirk Cousins, because he does a lot of the small things that don't show up necessarily in the stats. Kirk Cousins in many of the lists ends up in at number 11 or number 12. I saw a couple lists where he did sneak into the top 10 at 10. I think it's fair to put Kirk Cousins in at number 10. All right, you tell me what you think. North America, I want to hear what you think. Who do you think belongs in your National Football League QB's top 10 entering the 2023 season? Recapping it super quick for you. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, and Kirk Cousins. That's it for the disturbance. I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.